Hey guys, welcome to today's sesh. It's week 7, we're in day 5 and we're doing some yoga today. I feel it's important to do it, help you in a recovery process to get your body right for our next set of exercises. Let's do it. Standing in mountain pose, hands together the prayer or by your side, whichever one you choose, and just breathing deep breaths. Inhale and exhale 5 times in your own time. You can close your eyes if you like. Clear your mind and just focus on the moment. Last breath here, exhale, feet are wide. Inhale your arms up and plug them into the sky, high as you can. Go for a big reach up and exhale down all the way down to your toes. And just let yourself hang there for a while. You can also fold your arms here if you like and just rest your head on your arms. Raise your right arm up. Bring your hand back down and take the other one up. Bring your hand back down. One more deep breath, chin to your chest, and just roll yourself up nice and slowly. Alright, place one foot forward. Inhale your arms up. And exhale your arms to a very straight front leg. Bend your front leg, come on up, and let's take care of the other leg. Inhale your arms up. And exhale your arms to a very straight front leg. Bend your front leg, come on up. Inhale your arms up. Left arm goes down, right arm across. Bring your arm back up. And exhale down on the other side. Inhale both arms up. And exhale to Namaste. Let's inhale our arms up. Exhale it back down to the floor. Both hands touching the floor. Inhale up to flat back. Exhale back down to the floor. Down to plank. Chaturanga. Upward dog. Couple of breaths here. Back to plank and downward dog. Gonna stay here for about 5 breaths. Alright, begin to come out of it. Walk your feet to your hands. Inhale up to flat back. Exhale back down. And with strong back and knees, look up, reverse swan dive up. Exhale back down to prayer. Inhale it up, back up tall. And exhale back down to the floor. Inhale back to flat back. Exhale back down to the floor. Going into plank, chaturanga, upward dog. And then back down to plank. You can do a push-up if you like. Downward dog. Take a deep breath. Float your feet back to your hands. Inhale up to flat back. Exhale down to your feet. And now reverse that swan dive back up. And exhale back down to the floor. Inhale back to flat back. Exhale back down to the floor. Going into plank, chaturanga, upward dog. And then back down to plank. You can do a push-up if you like. Downward dog. Take a deep breath. Float your feet back to your hands. Inhale up to flat back. Exhale down to your feet. And now reverse that swan dive back up. And exhale back down to prayer. Alright, let's move a little bit faster now. Inhale your hands back up. And exhale back down to the floor. Inhale back to flat back. Exhale back down to the floor. Going into plank, chaturanga, upward dog. And then back down to plank. You can do a push-up if you like. Downward dog. This time in downward dog, just going to paddle our feet, stretching out our calves. From here, take your right leg and go straight up in the air. Swing it through to runner's pose. Both hands on the floor and go into the stretch. Your right foot should have landed where your hands are. If not, just make adjustments. You can drop on down to your elbows. Keep your back leg raised. Back on up to runner's pose. Float your right leg back. Come on down to chaturanga, upward dog. Back to plank and downward dog. From here, take your left leg, float on up to the sky. Try to get as much height as you possibly can. Swing it through to runner's pose. Let's go into runner's stretch here. Both elbows to the floor, your back knee staying up. Back to runner's pose. Float your left leg back. Come on down to chaturanga, upward dog. Back to plank and downward dog. Float your right leg into the sky and swing it through to runner's pose. Lift your arms and body up, crescent pose. Alright, let's go back down to the floor with your hands to runner's pose. Float your foot back into plank, chaturanga, upward dog, back to plank and downward dog. Float your left leg into the sky and swing it through to runner's pose. Both arms up, crescent pose. Alright, let's go back down to the floor with your hands to runner's pose. Float your foot back into plank, chaturanga, upward dog, back to plank and downward dog. Let's float your right leg up into the sky. Swing it through to your arms, left foot facing 45 degrees, fingertips to the floor, and raise yourself up, warrior one. Hands back down to the floor, straighten your foot back up, float your right foot back to plank, down to chaturanga, upward dog, plank and downward dog. Raise your left foot up in the air. Swing it through. Right foot down. Fingertips to the floor. Swing yourself up. Warrior one. Hands back down to the floor, straighten your foot back up, float your foot back to plank, down to chaturanga, upward dog, and plank and downward dog. Float your right foot up into the air, swing it through, left heel down, fingertips to the floor, raise yourself up, warrior one. From here, swing your left arm back, warrior two. Back to warrior one. Hands back down to the floor, straighten your foot back up, float your foot back to plank, down to chaturanga, upward dog, and plank and downward dog. Float your left heel into the sky. Swing it through. Back heel down, fingertips to the floor, raise yourself up, warrior one. Swing your arm back, warrior two. Back to warrior 1. Hands back down to the floor. Straighten your foot back up. Float your foot back to plank. Down to chaturanga, upward dog, plank, and downward dog. Float your right foot up into the air. Swing it through. Left heel down. Fingertips to the floor. Raise yourself up. Warrior 1. From here, swing your left arm back. Warrior 2. Tilt yourself back. Reverse warrior. Back to warrior 2. Swing your left arm through to your front one. Twist your torso, warrior 1. Hands back down to the floor. Straighten your foot back up. Float your foot back to plank. Down to chaturanga, upward dog, plank, and downward dog. Float your left heel into the sky. Swing it through. Back heel down. Fingertips to the floor. Raise yourself up. Warrior 1. Swing your arm back. Warrior 2. Tilt yourself back. Reverse warrior. Float yourself back up to warrior 2. Warrior 1. Back down to runner's pose. Straighten your back foot. Float your leg back. Plank, chaturanga, upward dog. Back to plank and into downward dog. Float your right foot up into the air. Swing it through. Left heel down. Fingertips to the floor. Raise yourself up. Warrior 1. Warrior 2. Tilt yourself back. Reverse warrior. Straighten out your front leg. And you can go for a bigger reach here. Bend our front leg again. Go back to warrior 2. Straighten out your front leg. Reach to the front of the room as far as you can go. When you can't go no further, reach on down to your foot. Triangle pose. Lift yourself back up. Bend your right leg. Float into warrior 2. Back to reverse warrior. Back to warrior 2. Back into warrior 1. Back down to plank, chaturanga, upward dog. And you can do a push up here or not. Go to plank and downward dog. forward, float your left heel up into the sky, swing it through. Right foot flat, fingertips pointing the ground, raise yourself up, warrior one. Swing your right arm back, warrior two. Dip back, reverse warrior. Straighten out your front leg and get a bigger reach. Let's bend it again, back to warrior two. Straighten out your front leg again, reach forward towards the front of the room until you can't go no more, dip down to the floor, triangle pose. Using your torso now, raise yourself back up, bend your front leg into warrior two, dipping back to reverse warrior. Back to warrior two. Swing your right arm and your torso back to warrior one. Down to runner's pose. Right foot straight into plank, chaturanga, upward dog. Back to plank and downward dog. Let's float our right heel into the sky. Swing it through to runner's pose. Back heel down. Raise on up, warrior one. Bring your left arm through, warrior two. Straighten out your front leg. Now we're going to straighten our torso so that we're facing the front of the room. Now with your left arm, reach towards the front of the room. Dip down to your right foot, reverse triangle pose. Right arm and your eyes looking towards the ceiling. From here, bring your arm back to the floor. Straighten out your back foot. Float your right leg back. Come on down, chaturanga and upward dog. Back to plank and downward dog. Okay, let's do the other side. Float your heel up into the sky. Swing it through to runner's pose. Back heel down. Hook going up, warrior one. Swing it through, warrior two. Straighten out your front leg. Straighten out your torso, looking forward. Right arm this time, aim towards the front of the room. Dip down, reverse triangle on the other side. Your left arm goes straight up towards the ceiling and looking up in that direction too. Alright, let's bring your arm back down. Straighten out your back foot. Float your front foot back. We're at plank. Now chaturanga, upward dog. Back to plank and downward dog. Give me a real nice downward dog here. You can walk or jump your feet back to your hands. Come on up to flat back. Exhale back down. Dip your buttocks down into chair pose. Float your hands back to the floor. And reverse swan dive straight up. High as you can go, tippy toe. Exhale back down to prayer. From here, bend your knees, while in prayer. Twist your torso over to the right into twisting chair pose. Your options here are left arm to the floor, right arm up in the air, or just keep it in prayer. Alright, come on back up. Keep your hands together and shoot for the sky. High as you can go on your tippy toes. Aim for some good height here. Let's bring your hands back down in prayer and let's head over to the other side. Twisting chair pose on the left hand side and whichever variation you wish to use. Bringing your hands back together and centering your torso and raise on up. Keeping your hands together, shooting for the ceiling and going up as high as you can go. Exhale your hands back down to Namaste. From here you're welcome to take a drink, take a pause. Alright, come on back. Let us rejoin in mountain pose. Inhale your arms up. Exhale your arms down, body down, all the way down to the floor. Inhale up to flat back. Exhale back down to the floor. Come on over to plank, chaturanga, upward dog. And back to plank and downward dog. Float your right heel up into the sky. Now swing your knee to your forehead and raise it on back. Now swing your knee over to your right elbow. Bring it back up and over to your left elbow. Bring your leg back up high and swing it through to your hands. Back heel down, come on up to warrior one. Swing your arm through, warrior two. Dip on back to reverse warrior. Back to warrior two. Keeping your front leg bent this time, reach on down into a right angle pose. Hand dipping down to the floor. Left hand up in the air and looking up in the air too. Going to an extended right angle pose, so your left arm goes straight in front of you, creating a nice straight line. As you can see, I have a long way to go to making that picture perfect. Reaching your left arm back up again and drop your arm behind your back and try to grab hold of your right arm while in right angle pose. It's okay, just do the best you can here. Do the best you can. Alright, right hand back on the floor, left hand back up into the air, and come back into Warrior 2. And dip on back to Reverse Warrior, and back to Warrior 2, to Warrior 1. Bring it on down to Runner's Pose, back heel straight, swing down to Plank, Chaturanga, Upward Dog. Back to Plank and Downward Dog. Let's float your left heel into the sky. Get as much height as you can and swing it through to your forehead. Exhale your foot back up in the air and swing it through to your left elbow. Now swing your leg back up into the air and swing it through to your right elbow. Raise your leg back up into the air and swing it through to Runner's Pose. Back heel flat, line up to Warrior 1. Swing through to Warrior 2. Dip on back to Reverse Warrior. Back to Warrior 2. Keeping your front leg bent. Reach towards the front of the room. Left hand to left foot. Right hand up in the sky. Looking up in the sky. Right angle pose. Extended right angle pose, reaching the arm overhead, creating a straight line from your feet to your fingers. Reach your right arm back into the sky and then take your arm behind your back and grab it through with your left hand. Place that left hand back on the floor. Right arm back into the sky. Float on back up to Warrior 2. Dip back to Reverse Warrior. Back to Warrior 2. Back to Warrior 1. On down to Runner's Pose. Straighten out your back heel. Float your leg back to Plank. Back to Chaturanga. Upward Dog. Back to Plank and Downward Dog. Feet together, float the right heel up into the sky. Swing it through to Runner's Pose. Keep your back heel where it is this time. From here we're going into prayer twist. So bring yourself up into prayer and then twist yourself in and the different variations which you may wish to use. Bring your hands back down to the floor, back to Runner's Pose. Float your right leg back into Plank. From here we go into side arm balance. So your right hand goes up into the sky, straightening out your body sideways. You can also raise your leg here if you like. Bring your feet down, bring your hands down, come back to plank. And do your vinyasa, chaturanga, upward dog. Back to plank and downward dog. Feet together, float your left heel up into the sky. Swing it through to runner's pose. Keeping your left heel where it is, come on up into prayer and twist. Back to runner's pose, float your leg back and into side arm balance on the other side. Leg back, hand back, you're in plank, and come on down to chaturanga, upward dog. Back to plank and downward dog. Feet together, float your right heel into the sky. Swing it through to runner's pose. Keeping your back heel where it is, come on up to crescent pose. Now we're leaning forward. And lift with your left foot into warrior 3. Bring both hands down to the floor and go into a standing splits. Left arm up into the sky, half moon. Place both hands on the floor. Going into a twisting half moon. So right arm up into the air. Left leg into the sky. Okay, bring that hand down. Now as smoothly and as gracefully as you can, plant your back foot back onto the floor. Come back up to crescent pose.
Great. Come on down to runner's pose. You've survived that side. Shake your leg out here because it's been on fire.
My leg just gone to that extreme.
Into downward dog here. Float your left heel up into the sky. Swing it through to runner's pose. Come on up to crescent pose. Bend forward and now float on up to warrior 3. Now reach both hands down to the floor and put your other foot up into the air, into a split. Right arm up into the sky, half moon. Bring that hand down, left hand up into the sky. Twisting half moon on the other side. Bring your left hand back down to the floor. Float on gracefully back to crescent pose. Come on down to runner's pose. Float your front foot back. Shake out that left leg. Back to plank, chaturanga, and upward dog. And back into downward dog. Come on to the tips of your toes here. Bend your knees. Come on up to your hand. Inhale up to flat back. Exhale back down. Reverse swan dive. Exhale back to prayer. Drink time, boys and girls.
Well done, guys.
Namaste.
See you tomorrow. Peace out.
Thanks for